projected, that this is the type of platform that would work in other parts of the country. I mean, you're a proud democratic socialist. Do you think that is a platform that would work for other candidates running in other parts of the country?
Absolutely, I think.
Oh, absolutely. Do you think the entire party should be firebombing places and declaring war on federal law enforcement? Absolutely. Do you despise capitalism? I do despise capitalism. Well, very happy Friday to you in the American dystopian hellscape that the Democrat Party has created. The Democrats are a bigger threat to us than the Houthis. I'll give them that. And to civilization, to peace on earth. And with that said, we have a great many things going on today. A great many things indeed. The Supreme Court has ruled in the matter of birthright citizenship. An appeal, kind of an important case, I've got to say. And Governor Hairgel Gavin Newsom in California has announced that he's suing Fox News for defamation. And he's being a wise-ass punk about it because the number that he is suing them for is $787 million. He wants nearly $1 billion. I've been saying for years, actually, that Republicans should be suing the networks for billions and billions of dollars. Their behavior will never change unless they're forced to fork over billions and billions of dollars. But Gavin Newsom, the California Democrat, listen to this fake story from Tyler Katzenberger at the left-wing radical Politico. Gavin Newsom sues Fox News for $787 million in defamation case over Trump call, over a phone call, a Trump call. The amount is nearly identical to Dominion Voting's 2023 defamation settlement with Fox News. Governor Gavin Newsom, the Democrat from California, is taking a page right out of the Donald Trump media playbook. That's the lead. The story opens up with an attack on Trump because the little fascist Tyler Katzenberg here, just a Democrat Party press release, not a journalistic story from Politico, which is not really a news organization, just a Democrat Party front group. The California governor accused Fox News of defamation in a lawsuit Friday morning. And I got to say, it's pretty early in California for this to be happening today. Yet it is, alleging the network should fork over $787 million after Fox News host Jesse Waters claimed that Gavin Newsom lied about his phone calls with Trump, who ordered National Guard troops to Los Angeles this month. You may recall we played audio for you at the time of Donald Trump, and I think at least one Gavin Newsom or a couple Gavin Newsom sound bites about this, because Newsom is busy with his hair and not making sure there's water coming out of fire hydrants and all of that good stuff. So here's Jesse Waters claimed Newsom lied about his phone calls, plural, with Trump, who ordered National Guard troops to Los Angeles this month. Newsom's lawyers argue Waters' program misleadingly edited a video of Trump to support the claim. Well, this has got to be bad news for NBC because, we call them NBC edits. NBC corruptly edits almost everything they air. And CNN, I got to tell you, this is going to become hunting season for the news media. And it'll all trace back to Gavin Newsom and his moose jelly. And that's what it's called, right? Moose jelly? Jelly mousse. That's French for moose jelly. So the Democrat, likely presidential hopeful, the Politico goes on to say, his request for damages is nearly identical to the $787.5 million sum Fox News paid Dominion Voting Systems in 2023 to settle another defamation case over election falsehoods. Yeah, everything was perfect in the election. It's not even suspicious that Joe Biden got a record number of votes in the history of the country. And it's just a coincidence that Joe Biden won all 50 states when it comes to the mail-in ballots, while President Trump won all 50 states when it comes to in-person voting. Isn't that fascinating? And there's really nothing to see there in the record number of voters in the 2020 election that Joe Biden won. And then in 2024, the number of Americans voting went back down to the normal number of Americans voting in presidential elections, like we saw in 2008 and 2012 and 2016. But in 2020, it spiked amazingly. And the Democrats won every state when it comes to mail-in ballots and only mail-in ballots. And they lost every state when it comes to in-person voting. And there's absolutely nothing curious about any of that when it comes to the people at Politico and Tyler Katzenberger, who's a Democrat. I'll go ahead and bet $1 right now that Tyler Katzenberger is a Democrat. So here it is. If Fox News wants to lie to the American people on Donald Trump's behalf, it should face consequences, just like it did in the Dominion case, Newsom told Politico in a statement. Until Fox is willing to be truthful, I will keep fighting against their propaganda machine. I honestly believe that every network should be sued today for $787 million. And they should add the 0.5 just to, be more transparent. They love that word transparent. But to them, the word transparent means you're a cross-dressing transgender who's already had children. You're a transparent. They did a TV show. They called it Transparent. It's about that. Newsom's suit echoes Trump's own lawsuits against major news networks like ABC, which agreed in December to pay Trump $15 million to settle a defamation case over George Stephanopoulos' inaccurate claim that Trump was found civilly liable for rape. Trump was actually found civilly liable for sexual abuse, though the judge in the case later ruled that it was accurate in common modern parlance to say Trump had been found liable for rape. Say that he should sue the judge over that for $787 million. Trump, in another suit, accused CBS 60 Minutes last fall of misleadingly editing an interview with former Vice President Kamala Harris to make her look real good. During the 2024 presidential race, at least 2 executives from the company have since left their posts, and the unresolved CBS suit has become a central drama in the pending sale of a controlling stake in Paramount. That's the Paramount parent company. Newsom's lawyer said he's prepared to drop the lawsuit if Fox retracts its claims and Waters apologizes to him on air. That sounds a lot less expensive. But honestly, I think that everybody should, and I got to tell you what, I can't give you what was said on Jesse Waters' show off the top of my head. You have it right there? Oh, do you? But Michael Piercy can, because he just went and retrieved it in real time here. So here is the moment in question that Gavin Newsom is pretending he's going to become a near billionaire over.
Trump's not waiting around this time. He says if it wasn't for him, L.A. would be up in smoke.
He says.
Called him up to tell him, got to do a better job. He's doing a bad job, causing a lot of death and a lot of potential death. If we didn't send out the National Guard, and last time we gave him a little additional help, you would have, Los Angeles would be burning right now. The radical left, it's usually radical left, and it's usually governors that are Democrat, and they don't want to call them in. They don't want to save lives. They don't want to save property. They don't want to call them in. I don't know what it is.
Newsom responded, and he said there wasn't a phone call. He said Trump never called him. Not even a voicemail, he said. But John Roberts got Trump's call logs, and it shows Trump called him late Friday night, and they talked for 16 minutes. Why would Newsom lie and claim Trump never called him? Why would he do that?
Now, that is the lawsuit, huh? Newsom just dropped the lawsuit now because that's going nowhere. That was written perfectly, used a soundbite of President Trump saying what he's saying. You can try to sue President Trump, but I don't see Fox News having done anything that would be legally actionable by any stretch of the imagination there. Truly extraordinary. The Democrat Party is an un-American party, an anti-American party. They've abandoned our culture. No, they've burned our culture to the ground. They're waging war against our culture. They represent the opposite of civilization. I think the Democrat Party is worse than the Houthis by multiple measures. Certainly the violent political attacks in the United States. The Democrat Party is king of the violent political attack in the United States. Just amazing what they are doing, these people. Man, and that's the whole that's the lawsuit right there. That's not going anywhere. I think the Fox lawyers should stand firm. In fact, they should countersue for $1 billion, maybe $10 billion. Just go ahead and countersue for $10 billion because the Democrat Party, they are not on our side. The Supreme Court also very busy today because it's big day at the Supreme Court. And it turns out that they have, according to multiple news reports, the Supreme Court, they're limiting the use of nationwide judges, the injunctions. The Democrat judges always slapping injunctions on things. They get some Biden appointee or Obama appointee somewhere the Democrats do. In Montana to say, oh, yeah, we're going to block Trump on all immigration matters. And the Supreme Court today looking at that, and a lot happening from the Supreme Court today. Justices found federal judges had exceeded their power. The New York Times is lamentingly typing on behalf of their party, the Democratic Party. Supreme Court limits use of nationwide injunctions. The Supreme Court justices found federal judges had exceeded, Democrats abused their power, had exceeded their power, that's a polite turn of phrase for abused their power, by issuing temporary pauses on President Trump's order ending birthright citizenship. But they made no ruling on the constitutionality of the order itself. Sure. Well, that's going to be part of that. So the Supreme Court on Friday agreed to allow President Trump to end birthright citizenship in some parts of the country, even as legal challenges to the constitutionality of the move proceed in other regions. This is a big surprise. This has become the norm here. The 6-3 ruling. Another 6-3 ruling. And you always know who it is. You got the communists who don't know what women are, and they don't know biology. They're not biologists. I think if you're not a biologist to that extent, you shouldn't be serving on the Supreme Court. So the 6-3 decision, which was written by Justice Amy Coney Barrett and split along ideological lines because the communists always goose-step together into the abyss, is a major victory for Mr. Trump, the New York Times wrote, and may dramatically reshape how citizenship is granted in the United States, even temporarily. A big, big deal. The Democrats want to do anything. They're in favor of anything that's detrimental to our country. They're not on our side. You might have heard that somewhere. June 24th, just a few days ago, marked the 3-year anniversary of Roe v. Wade being overturned in our favorite Supreme Court. But here's what you may not know. It's been reported now that abortions, the number of abortions have surged to at least a 10-year high in the United States after Roe v. Wade was overturned and the Democrats said nobody could get an abortion. They lie about everything. Now, over 60% of abortions in the United States today happen because of the abortion pill. And very often women take the pill while all alone, very sadly. Preborn's clinic of clinics across the country are standing in the gap, meeting women in their most desperate hour You know, it's said that 11% of these women who take the abortion pill will suffer serious medical complications as a result. But when you give money to preborn, you're not just helping to save an unborn baby, you're also helping to save a mother as well. You're giving her hope and financial support, and you're giving her the truth, which matters. Preborn has already rescued more than 350,000 unborn babies, helpless little human beings. But there are so many more who need your help. Your tax-deductible gift makes this mission possible. To donate right now, all you have to do is dial pound 250 on your phone. When prompted, say the keyword baby. That's dialing pound 250, the keyword is baby, or go to Al Gore's amazing internet to preborn.com/plant. That's me, preborn.com/PLANTE. All right, kids, stick with me. We got big news going on here today. The Supreme Court, birthright citizenship. The Democrats want to abuse our laws to the detriment of our country. The Supreme Court stepped in to help the 3 radical left-wing justices who should be forced off the court, don't you think? They voted with MS-13. Chris here with a list of things that none of us should trust. The Washington Post, the New York Times, anything on CNN. Here's a list of things that I do trust. The Washington Times. Support real journalism for just $1 a week at WashingtonTimes.com/Chris. We've got, I'm going to have more for you in just a moment on the Supreme Court. It is a big win for President Trump. It's a big win for the rule of law. It's a big loss for the radical left Democrat Party. And by the way, it is a big win for Justice Clarence Thomas in this case having to do with injunctions, because Justice Thomas, one of the great justices in the history of the United States that the racist Democrat lynch mob continues to harass because, you know, they're the party of the bullwhip and the firebomb. And they still are, aren't they? They really haven't changed. They haven't changed at all, have they? But universal injunctions that the Democrats are so fond of. Get somebody to find an illegal alien in northern Minnesota and find a left-wing, idiot, corrupt judge who's a little communist. And I'm going to impose an injunction that will apply nationwide, not just in this case, but to everyone in the country. Because the Democrats love abusing the judicial branch of the government. But a momentous day in America in jurisprudence and the Supreme Court, and for Justice Clarence Thomas as well. Battle that he's been involved with for a long time, and the Supreme Court rules 3 Democrats on the Supreme Court, not so good. Big goings on at the Supreme Court today, having to do with birthright citizenship. The Democrats love the idea that any cartel leader from Colombia or Mexico can send their baby mama across the border into the United States to crank out a baby this afternoon after lunch, and that child will have birthright citizen. Well, they'll be an American citizen by way of birthright citizenship. If you are aboard an airplane, let's say a JAL airplane, you're out of Tokyo, and you've just flown nonstop from Tokyo to San Francisco, and you land in San Francisco, and a pregnant woman aboard the airplane gives birth 2 weeks early, unexpectedly, that in the airport at SFO, then that child, that hotsy-totsy newborn Nazi, that newborn child is an American citizen automatically. Then they can overnight get back on the plane and continue on to Paris, and the child is a birthright by way of birthright citizenship is an American citizen, born an American citizen. And this was all about when this was created shortly after the American Civil War, which the Democrat Party perpetrated, the Civil War, because they wanted to keep their slaves. And it was about making sure that the Democrats could not deny citizenship to black Americans born in the United States after the Civil War, because the Democrats did not give citizenship to black people, and it had to be fixed after the Civil War. And the Democrats are still fighting on the wrong side of everything. It's always anti-American, anti-humanity. They're not the good guys in any story, really. But now this is true. In China, communist China, they have built an industry off of birthright citizenship where wealthy Chinese will, mom and dad, or just put mom on a plane, they'll shoot over to the United States, and there are clinics in California that are dedicated to this and only this. 60 Minutes could do a story on it, but they won't, because it's about abusing American laws to the detriment of the United States of America and to the benefit of bad guys and nobodies and who cares all over the world. But the Chinese have turned it into an industry, and the Democrats approve of that. That's what they're big on. They want, hey, this is detrimental to the United States. Let's make sure we keep doing this. And that's their whole bag, baby. Right? And literally the Chinese, how many thousands, I don't know, but they pay lots and lots of money to companies in communist China, and they fly over to usually California, go to clinics that are in place for this very purpose. The women go in there. They may have the birth induced to time it, for your flights, because it's important. Or you come in and you hang out at these clinics until you give birth, and then hotsy-totsy newborn commie. You got your U.S. citizenship for your baby, and they're still Chinese communist citizens as well, but they're U.S. citizens. Now, that in the jet age, which we've been in for an awful long time now, this is a stupid policy, and that is why the Democrats like it, because they're not on our side. That's the thing about them. Not even close to being on our side. And this, well, let's go to Jonathan Turley, because Jonathan Turley, law professor extraordinaire and Chicago guy at the George Washington University in Washington, D.C. He was on the Fox News channel as the Supreme Court verdict came down.
Does look like a victory for the Trump administration. Justice Barrett is saying that the only way for justices to exercise this type of universal injunction in some of these cases is equitable relief. But she does not find evidence that that type of relief was granted to these judges. So they indicate that the administration is likely to prevail on this issue. All of that is going to be awfully good news for this administration. They have been really hit with these sort of Lilliputian attacks. There are all these individual district judges effectively freezing federal policy and programs across the country. So it does appear to be a victory. It may be a bit more nuanced, but so far it looks like a good day for the Trump administration.
So far it looks like a good day for the Trump administration. And again, a 6-3 ruling, because 3 Democrat nominees, they always do it's always the party line vote with them. You don't even have to look at the law or the Constitution, the constitutionality or the legality of the matter at hand. Just know that all 3 of these women, a disgrace to jurisprudence in the United States, all 3 of them will always rule. Their verdict will always go with the Democrat Party's wishes. Always. The 6 justices nominated by Republicans to the court, they can be all over the place, including President Trump's justices. And honestly, that's the way it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be the way it is with the 6 Republican nominees to the court. It is not supposed to be the way it is with the 3 Democrat nominees to the court, where they always goose step with the party. And they always, always do. Because, you know how the rest. Right? Crazy. All right, let us, we can take a telephone call. I haven't gone to a phone call in a long time, because there's 2. We're sitting here and stories are flying in over the transom. We've got the Supreme Court ruling, kind of a big deal. Well, in fact, people are calling in about it. Let's go to the telephones. Let's go to Bob. Calling from Moscow, Russia. Robert, you're on the Chris Plante Show. Do svidaniya.
Hey, thank you. Easiest way to solve the citizenship is do what Singapore has. Singapore has single citizenship. You can only have one passport. You do that, so even if these babies are born in America, the parents have to decide, are you going to give them Chinese citizenship or are you going to give them American citizenship?
Single citizenship. Well, a lot of Americans, of course, have dual citizenship, like with Ireland, for example. I know people that have an Irish passport and a U.S. passport. I guess I know people that have Israeli passport and an American passport. You know, we are the world. We are the people. We are the future. Whatever those lyrics are. That song always annoyed me. Isn't that an annoying song?
Well,
we are the world.
But that's what created all the problems with all the riots and everything else, is because people have no loyalty to the United States. If you make it a single citizenship where they have their choice, they can only, if they want to come to America from the Middle East, then they can't go back to the Middle East.
Well, but how do you become a professor at Columbia University if that's the situation? That could be tough. You know, I've got to say, Bob, that from the Democrat Party's point of view, this is all about corrupting our country, about doing what's wrong for our country. And you can always depend on the Democrat. And there are 3 justices, women although one of them doesn't know what women are. You can always depend on them to do whatever the Democrat Party expects them to do. Because otherwise they wouldn't be invited to parties on Martha's Vineyard over the summer. You know, that's a problem.
Very true. But the guy the professor that goes to Columbia could still come, but he could not get citizenship for his kids. Or his kids will get citizenship. He'd come on a work visa, but then he'd have to go back to his country and decide, do I want my kids to have Iranian citizenship or do I want them to have American citizenship?
Right. Yeah, you're talking about
Good way to get around the system.
Yeah, Mahmoud Khalil, another Democrat hero like Luigi Mangione, like Kilmore Abrego Garcia. The Democrat Party, they love Latin American gangs, don't they?
It's just like Ilhan Omar from Minnesota.
Yeah.
She wouldn't be here.
Yeah, Ilhan Omar would be, we'd have to send her back home, and after not too long, black scorpions would be crawling over her sun-bleached bones in the wind-blown sands of whatever beep hole country she ended up in. So, Bob, you're in Moscow, Russia today?
Yes, sir. It's freaking cold here.
Is it?
It's about 52 degrees. We've had a very cold summer. It reminds me of back home in Wisconsin, northern Wisconsin.
Wow. Well, you know, Moscow, northern Wisconsin, in terms of climate, there's a lot of commonality there. I suppose if you're looking for political similarity, you'd have to go to Madison.
Yes. Very much so.
Yeah,
but
very much so. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, but to be honest, right now, it's safer for me as a senior citizen to walk in the evenings in Moscow than it is for me to walk in Chicago or any major city in the United States.
You know, I don't doubt that for a moment. Democrats, I like to say, Bob, more Democrats, more crime, right? More Democrats, more murder. More Democrats, more gangs. Now, elected Democrats with foreign accents are inciting gangs to wage war against federal law enforcement agencies like ICE, Immigration Customs Enforcement. The Democrat Party is not on our side, and you're in. Perhaps you're there for work.
Yes. Well, I'm retired now, but I was a teacher of mathematics, science, and English, all in English.
Wow. Okay. Wild.
But it's just like it's right now. Look at all the people still going to Jerusalem from all over the world. Even though with the war going on, they still feel safer there than in the United States.
Wow. Well, you know, that's not entirely untrue. I live in Washington, D.C. I've lived here for a long time, and it is it's not, the Democrats, everything, their policies create more crime. Their policies create more mayhem and more murder and more carjackings and more burglaries. What did I see? Brad Pitt today. Where's Brad? What is he, like going to the Bezos wedding or something? Brad Pitt, he was away in his home, was burglarized apparently by...
Say again? it was broken into again. I'm wondering when if it wasn't for the deep state sponsoring these things, why are all these demonstrations and riots going on in the inner city? Why don't they do them where the wealthy people live, all these Democrats live, and see how fast the world changes?
Why don't we vote for people that are on our side? I don't think there's another country in the world that has elections where it's common for one of the major parties to elect people that are as destructive as the Democrat Party is and as I don't think the French elect people that are anti-French, and their country is full of Islamists at this point with no-go zones and all that good stuff. I got to tell you, so you're from northern Wisconsin originally?
Yeah, originally, I was born outside of Chicago, near Chicago, but went to school in Indianapolis and lived most of my life in Wisconsin because I like the quiet, I like nature.
Yeah. And nice people.
Yes.
And nice people. That's great. Bob, I'm very happy that you called in. And what do you say, 54 degrees in Moscow, huh?
Yeah, it's been a cold summer. This reminds me of some summers in northern Wisconsin and Tomahawk, Wisconsin. Yeah. It'd be just like the 4th of July weekend.
You close enough to walk through Red Square when you go out for a stroll?
No, I live on the south side of the city.
Okay.
Because I live about a 5-10 minute walk from a big forest, and it's just it's residential. It's huge residential, but there's forest there, and I like the outdoors. I like walking in nature.
Yeah, so do I. I hope most human beings do, but maybe not. I mean, people that live in New York, people that vote for lunatics to become mayor of New York, that's wonderful. And now you speak enough Russian to be comfortable, right?
Enough, but I haven't. Yeah, but I haven't really learned the Russian language because languages for me are difficult, and I'm American. I don't want to lose my American heritage.
Yeah, I like it. All right, I got it, Bob. A great call. I'm glad you called in.
Have a great day, sir.
Yeah, thank you, buddy. Have a great Moscow day. A great Moscow day. Isn't that great? Since I mentioned Brad Pitt, the headline today is burglary crew reportedly ransacks Brad Pitt's Los Angeles home. Speaking of crime in the United States and mayhem everywhere, police are searching for 3 suspects believed to have burglarized Brad Pitt, the movie star guy, girls like him, and Democrat boys, too. Burglarized Brad Pitt's home in Los Angeles in the Los Feliz neighborhood. It's California. They have funny names like that, Los Feliz. According to multiple media reports, the break-in at his residence, I love this, on the 2300 block of North Edgemont Street. They give his address. Why don't you? And here's a picture of his house. Reportedly happened Wednesday night with no one inside as Pitt was in Japan promoting his latest film called F1, TMZ reported. And TMZ is better at reporting news than CNN by a long shot. They do entertainment news, and they're better. But there it is, and here are the aerial pictures of the house. Officials at the Los Angeles Police Department said 3 suspects climbed the property's front fence and cased the interior of the home before shattering a living room window to gain entry. Once inside, the burglary crew ransacked the home, stealing an unknown amount of the movie star's property and leaving the area. Oh, naturally. That's, hey, welcome to Los Angeles. Right. You think they were English-speaking, ransacking, robbery gang? I can tell you one thing. They're friends of the Democrat Party. And so is Brad Pitt. So there you go. You get what you vote for. As Bob was saying, too, and he's right. The all-new third-generation Eden Pure Thunderstorm air purifier has finally arrived, and it builds on the incredible success of the previous 2 generations, which earned thousands of 5-star reviews on Al Gore's amazing internet and became a bestseller. We have 3 of them in our home, including one of the brand new, the latest generation. The new Thunderstorm uses 2 technologies that studies have demonstrated will help to kill up to 99.9% of bacteria and viruses floating in the air in your home. You don't want that. Also removes dust and pet dander and smoke and all kinds of nasty things that you don't want to breathe. And it gets rid of any odor. Any odor. And you don't have to buy those filters and replace them all the time either. Self-contained unit. You can hold one in your hand. They're only this big. They're not a huge piece of furniture. The Thunderstorm will help get rid of any stinky smell. Guaranteed. Trash cans, cigarette smoke, smelly shoes, left-wing protesters, no match. Any smell will disappear in a matter of seconds. And right now, because we hang out together, you can save $200 American on an Eden Pure Thunderstorm 3-pack. You get 3 of them for whole home protection. Or you can make one a gift. Put one upstairs, downstairs, any place you like to breathe clean, fresh air. All you have to do is go to EdenPureDeals.com and use the discount code CHRIS3, CHRIS3, to get $200 off for 3 Thunderstorms. That's EdenPureDeals.com. The discount code is CHRIS3. Yes, sir. Yeah, that's great. You know why Bob can call in from Moscow? Thanks to Al Gore. Another win for civilization in the United States Supreme Court today, and another apparent 6-3 ruling. This is a case out of Montgomery County, Maryland, just across the line from Washington, D.C., not far from where I sit right now. And the fascists, the leftists in Montgomery County, they're mandating that everyone sit down and shut up when the radical leftists transgenderize your first graders and your kindergarten students. And the Supreme Court has ruled that, and they told the parents, you have no right to opt out. We don't care. And there are Muslim parents involved in this, Christian parents involved in this, atheist parents involved in this in liberal left Montgomery County. And the school district, the school system said, you can't tell us what to do with your children. We will do whatever we want, sexualizing first graders, transgenderizing first graders. The parents wanted to opt out. It went all the way to the Supreme Court, Mahmoud versus Taylor, and civilization has won in a 6-3 ruling because the 3 communist pigs on the Supreme Court voted to tear your children's genitals out.